Were they last-minute decisions?
Yes.
Was it just like as the... Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course they were.
I was so up and about Thursday afternoon. I got into my team and absolutely ruined
Oh,
it.
no. Cheer. Oh, wait, sorry. That's not how we start the show. What is going on, everybody? It's the Game Day Squad Aussie Rules show, and we are back for round 2. I've got my crew with me today. First of all, Callum, how you going today, legend?
Mate, fantastic. Our team's got wins on the weekends. We couldn't be happier.
And, of course, I've got Kerm with me. Kerm, I'm sorry for that stitch-up of a start, but I had to do it to you, mate. How are you going today?
No, you got to take those wins and you get them. I'm the resident whipping boy today after my fantasy team stunk it up and the Suns got back to old ways in round 1. So, nonetheless, keen to start talking round 1 footy.
Absolutely, and we are here because of Game Day Squad. Create, coach, and compete. And today, we're going to be analysing a player's performance from a fantasy perspective and going through fantasy breakdowns to help you all get game day ready. But before we get into that, we're going to go to our trusty pack of the week. And what we do here is we get our viewers to submit the packs that they've opened over the past week, and we select one to be the winner. But Kerm, take it away. What have you picked this week?
All right, guys, and I have one of the best packs I've ever seen with my 2 eyes. And shout out to our guy, Keyboy1888 on Discord for submitting this pack. Cal and I actually met him at the DT Talk Adelaide show. One of the nicest guys I've ever met, so I couldn't be happier for him. But have a look at this pack that you're seeing on your screen now. Double Legends. What are you guys thinking?
Unfair.
First,
the first thing I think of. But yes, stoked for him. It's an awesome pack. And I think when we saw it in the Discord, we messaged each other and we said, has there ever been more of a lock of the week for pack of the week than that?
Exactly. That Adam Chera is juicy. Going to be good for a very long time. What do you reckon, Tom?
Dude, I'm actually, my jaw's on the floor right now. I can't believe what I'm looking at. I actually agree with your statement, though. This could be the greatest Game Day Squad pack of all time. Like, even just the platinums and that are in there as well. Like, just topping off with the 2 legends. What a bloody pack. That is unreal. So, well done to Keyboy. And he sounds like a legend. You guys met him as well, so couldn't have gone to a better bloke.
Yep, absolute legend and OG. And because we've had such an insane pack in the first installment of the pack of the week, the next week's criteria is going to be the complete opposite. We want to see your worst packs. So submit the absolute worst packs you can. Any packs that you open throughout the week that might be very stinky could win you some packs. So we'll be in touch with Keyboy. He'll receive his free packs for winning the pack of the week. And next week, we're keen to see your worst ones.
Jeez, I reckon I'm going to be all over those submissions because my luck lately has been terrible. But my luck, I reckon I would go straight into it because my luck in the weekend, guys, was awesome. I believe, Tom, not only did my Port get a win, I believe I beat you in round 1 in our GDS Classic competition. I finished 43rd with 2,131 points. And I was a little bit disappointed with my overall result until I saw I was ahead of you. That did brighten up my morning this morning. So, I wanted to talk through some of the guys that did quite well for me. Sicily as a bronze, you can see there, 153 points was awesome. Doherty on Thursday night, 151 as a silver for me. And a Timmy Taranto that Thursday game as well, had a big 141. On the flip side though, I played Tom Stewart. That hurt. Ouch. 18 points. Luckily, I only played the bronze. Shout out to Hef from the Keeper League, who I know rolled out a diamond. That would have hurt even more. And then I like everyone, played Dunkley and Laird, who both had stinky games. So, yeah. Overall, content, only because I beat Tom.
Wow. Pretty good week, though. I'll tell you what, if that's like a rough week for you, then I think we have pretty similar mindset in this, that moving forward, I have a lot more optimism that my team can do a lot better. There were some shaky performances. But let me get into mine then. I may as well, because Callum's just roasted me. Clearly, I didn't do as well as him this week. But we didn't do too bad. One of the big key indicators that I wanted to bring up is that I have a lot of golds in my team, and I'm currently pondering whether that's worth the salary cap hit. Currently, as it stands, I have 5 golds, which could be used to beef up the team elsewhere and put a lot of silvers into my lineup. Like Callum, my main concerns, let's say, were Rory Laird, who is a gold player. So not too happy about his performance, wondering whether he's going to keep that gold tag. But my stars up front: Tim Taranto, Stephen Canelio. My goals were awesome. Jordan Dawson down back as well. I had Sicily. I played Mitch Duncan. I must have been off with the fairies while setting my lineup.
Oh, no.
I don't know what I was doing there, so maybe by having the extra player next week, I might do a little bit better. But
He's handicapped himself.
oh, dude, I
Yeah.
got to screw my head on. It's round one. There's absolutely no excuses here. So don't know, not sure what I was doing there, but I'm looking forward to round two. We'll get through it in the live stream. Some of the decisions we'll make, which stay tuned for. But Kerm, you're our open league guy. You got the champion squad. Why don't you go through some of your key performances this week?
Yeah, so I escaped the capped beef, but in the Open League, I was a little bit disappointed in myself, and not because of my team. My team was actually quite good. I just made some dodgy decisions as a coach going into
Can I
round one
ask,
that I'll look to rectify.
Were they last minute decisions?
Yes.
Was it just like as the okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course. Of course they were.
Absolutely. I was so up and about Thursday afternoon. I got into my team and absolutely ruined
Oh,
it.
no.
One of those was bringing in Lockie Neal for Chad Warner, and Chad Warner absolutely decimated the Suns. He was so good. And Lockie Neal didn't look himself. It was such a weird game fantasy-wise and scoring-wise. We saw the likes of Josh Dunkley not performing to his levels as well. But Lockie Neal, he's on the hot seat for me. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to play him next week. As well as him, I've got Rory Laird as well, who stunk it up for his levels. Josh Dunkley underperformed. I also had Sam Flanders. I put a lot of stock into Sam Flanders over the off-season and the pre-season games after he scored so well, but the Suns as a team just looked absolutely shocking. So he's going to be out of my team next week in round two for someone like a Jason Horne-Francis, which I think I'm going to be talking about in a little bit.
I believe we've got a half an hour sideshow just on him.
We're going to, instead of doing shorts after the show, we're going to be doing longs where we're just going to be talking about Jason Horne-Francis. But I got into my head and left Zach Butters out as well. I thought he was supremely underdone going into this season, but he looks so good out there. So I'm going to start trusting these Port players and get them into my team.
It's a slippery slope trusting Port players.
Let's talk about Jason Horne-Francis then, because I know Callum, look, we can see the Teal, he's excited, and all preseason he was talking about how this move is going to completely change the look of their team. He's the missing piece. He's going to glue everyone together. And I'll tell you what, Callum, you might have been spitting some facts over the off-season, because it looks like that's exactly what he did in that third quarter. He really stepped up and took the game into his hands. So why don't, with your Teal goggles on, explain to us what you saw on the weekend. How did it look out there, mate?
Looked good. Looked shocking. I don't know if I said he'd glue everyone together. I actually didn't know how he'd go this year. I was saying long term he's still going to be an absolute jet. But it was awesome to see. And I think there were some concerns around Port in general, changing their game style, if that was going to hurt our fantasy production. But, you know, Butters did all right. Rosie did all right, like, for what we were kind of expecting. Horne-Francis did well. There weren't too many big scorers, though, which in Port you normally do have those big scores. So as happy as I am about them winning, yeah, as a fantasy elite team going forward, probably not. But yeah, fingers crossed we keep up that good game style. But I want to talk more around some replacements, because I was thinking, I've got Butters in my team. I didn't actually play Horne-Francis this week, so looking forward to next week. That is something I was looking at, just because... Yeah, Butters was good, but I thought he was kind of like he was awesome in that third quarter. But there's that possibility that maybe I'm swap him out for Horne-Francis and sort of free up some cap elsewhere. And I've got a big Tom Stewart sized hole in my back line, so I'm going to be thinking about all week about who I can bring in. I really want a Jordan Dawson card. That's probably the card I want to go out to the market and target. I don't have one of him at the moment. I do have Cox, who had a monster 166 points for Freo yesterday against St Kilda. So whether I think he can replicate that again this week, I don't know. So I've got some options, but yeah, looking forward to seeing what might happen and how a few things shake out with injuries, etc. for round two.
Brennan Cox is such an interesting fantasy asset because he does that every so often. It seems like when the moon is full, he scores big. It's so weird. But a lot of people are going to be having that issue with Tom Stewart. He was such an integral part of so many squads over the preseason. And he's been known to be such a safe floor at the defender position. People look to bring in the likes of Caleb Daniel, who had an awesome game for the Western
Yep.
Bulldogs through the middle. And I know a lot of people fell off Nick Dacos after he was tagged out of the preseason games. So let that be a lesson to everybody out there. Do not jump off Nick Dacos no matter the scores, because the guy is absolutely insane and he's gone to another level again. Just a little PSA. Do not sit Nick Dacos on your reserves. So, yeah, that might be another just straight swap for a lot of people who went off Nick Dacos early in the preseason.
Can I bring up one shining light from the abysmal Suns performance? And as you guys know, Kerm is a Suns fan, Tom is a Swans fan, but I was the only one at the game, and it was a terrible game. It sucked.
Yep.
It sucked. After the high of the Port Adelaide game, the game was over inside the first 5 minutes, and the Suns never looked like even throwing a punch. But you did have a ruckman emerge as the highest scoring ruckman in the competition in round 1, and he was only going up against Peter Laddams, who former Port guy, who I don't rate that highly. But did Wits take the number 1 role for ruck for teams for next week, or is Tim English still the safe bet with his 130 that he got on the weekend?
It's a tough question. The ruckman position still, I still think it is the most confusing position for all of fantasy. And we thought we were going to get more answers after round 1. Things would become a little bit more clear, but for me, it's even more confusing. I think English is still the number 1 must start for me. Witsy was an absolute legend for us on the weekend. To me, outside of Matt Rowell and Touk Miller, he was the only one who showed an ounce of ticker for the team. He was the absolute linchpin for the Suns. He was everywhere for us and tried his guts out all day at 87% time on ground, I think. 25 disposals, kicked to behind, which was almost a goal. 51 hit-outs. Massive. I'm not sure that's sustainable for the next few weeks to come. So as Tim English is the better ruckman to get around the ground, get those disposals, rack up those marks, I think he is the safer option. Jared Witts should be on the radar, definitely on the wish list for a few owners out there. But for me, Timmy English, even Rowan Marshall, still after he stunk it up yesterday, still might be ahead of Witts.
Not ready to talk about Rowan Marshall yet. I'm still angry about that.
But I think what Kerm said spot on. That Tim English has a higher floor, so you know what you're going to get from him. He's been probably, other than Rowan Marshall, the only consistent ruckman over the past year that you can play and have some sort of confidence about. But if you need that Grand Slam play, if you need a big score from a player this week and you just want to take a punt, why not on Wits? He had a cracker game. As you said, he was all over the ground. So, if your team's looking a bit thin, why not? But I want to change our attention to a matchup that I'm looking at in particular for my team, and that's Isaac Cumming over the weekend for the GWS Giants.
Oh.
So we saw him last year become a top 10 defender in GameDay Squad Fantasy. He had quite a solid season. A lot of people would have been putting him in their best 6 in the back line, but yesterday when I was watching the game, I was not impressed at all with the way that he played and how little he was used with transitioning the ball and kicking the ball around the back, just keeping possession. He didn't take the kickouts either. That was to Callum's guy, Lockie Whitfield, who's now a midfielder. He's not a defender anymore. So the question ponders, is Isaac Cumming a startable player in GameDay Squad fantasy teams? Is that what his picture looks like this season? Or are we going to see more involvement over the next couple of weeks when he gets more comfortable? As we mentioned in the off-season, new coach, there's a lot of question marks at GWS. Is Cumming one of those?
Cumming's interesting. I think the answer we got from round 1 is that Lockie Whitfield is a bigger hindrance than we might have thought initially.
Yep.
Isaac Cumming had no excuses. He had 87% time on ground, and he just looked
uninterested.
He just looked a little bit, and nervous. He looked nervy out there. And a score that he put up, it's just not what we'd expect for someone like Isaac Cumming after he scored so consistently last year in 2022. And aside from Whitfield, the other big name that spent time down back and racked up a few disposals and was being a little bit of a nuisance himself was Lockie Ash.
Yep.
He spent a little bit of time down back and racked up some disposals, as well as Nick Haynes. So you wonder how much space is available down back for someone like Cumming to become a top 6 defender that we thought he might push into in 2023.
That is enough of talking about round one. We're a dynasty platform. Let's put our dynasty caps on. We're looking forward to the future. And what I'm going to do today for you fellas, I've got a buy, sell, hold scenario. So what that means is that, you're the coach of your team, your Game Day Squad team, and I'm going to give you an option of 3 players. One that you can buy for your team. One that you're selling away and you don't want any association with anymore. And then you hold. Someone that you're going to nurture, keep them on the bench, maybe even put them in the starting lineup now. But my 3 players are Daniel Rioli from Richmond, Tom Green from the GWS Giants, and Adam Treloar from the Western Bulldogs. You have to buy one, sell one, hold one, go.
Easy as Tom Green buy, Treloar hold, Rioli sell.
Wow. Interesting that you think it's so.
Yeah, Tom Green, he's what, 22?
He's the buy.
Yeah. He's the buy, and there's no question about it. And I don't love Rioli as a fantasy player, but I can still see Treloar helping me win now. So I'd put in Treloar now, knowing even though Rioli's probably the better long-term bet, I still think that ceiling is going to be higher for Treloar, regardless of where Rioli gets to.
It's interesting. It really is, and Treloar was really good on the weekend. He had a lot of time, more time than I thought through the midfield, but I might actually, obviously we don't need to talk about it. Tom Green is the quintessential buy here at his age. 37 disposals in about 50-degree heat against the Adelaide Crows. The guy is beyond anything. He might be one of the better...
good football player.
Definitely a good football player. Daniel Rioli, and I really like Daniel Rioli when he has this role off half-back and not high up the wing, which we've seen in his younger years. He had 27 disposals and 681 metres gained for Richmond against Carlton on Thursday night to kick the season off in the draw. And when he has that role, it's been proven that he can be a fantasy option. And if you've got a higher tier player card of his, the golds, the platinums, even a diamond in the Open League, I think he comes into consideration. So with that in mind and his age, and I mean, Treloar's got a pretty nasty injury history as well, I think I might hold Rioli and then sell Treloar. I know that might be a little bit controversial, but for me, that's a Tom Green buy, Daniel Rioli hold, and an Adam Treloar sell.
And there'll be nothing more on brand with Game Day Squad than us all having separate answers. So I love that.
No.
You're not going Tom Green.
I'm going to buy Daniel Rioli. And my reasoning...
Oh my
Hold
God.
on. Let me talk about... We know that Game Day Squad, we have a transfer market, right? If you look at Daniel Rioli's value right now, compared to a full season off the halfback, and once he's a top 10 defender this year, then after, it's going to be a world of difference, right? Tom Green is Tom Green. We know what he's going to become. So in my eyes, there's no reason for me to go out and buy a Tom Green if I can just hold him and I can nurture him and I can wait for him to be one of the best midfielders in the league, right? But if I can get Rioli...
I see what you're doing. You're putting our transfer market like you're thinking about, like, do I have to buy?
Exactly.
Are you going to go?
But Daniel Rioli, right, I can get a better price for him right now, in my eyes. I don't think people are going to catch on as quick with how good Rioli can be off that Richmond halfback. We saw it on Thursday night. They need him to be running off the halfback, and without him, their structure just falls apart. So he's going to need to have a big year this year. And Treloar, I've seen the best from him, so I want to sell him at his highest price, which is probably right now. So I put a different cap on there. I've looked at it as like the transfer market and how I want to manage my team, and that's my buy, sell, hold.
Just put a spin on the words here. I don't like it. It's messing with my brain.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still gives me the ick a little bit to hear you not say Tom Green's not your buy. But if you want to spin it that way, I'll take it. I'll cop it on the chin. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of that.
But we'll get into the next part of the show, but this is a part of the show that I have not been looking forward to addressing. This is our lock of the round, all right? And we know the drill by now, but for all of our listeners who don't, what we do here is that we pick a player every single week and we lock them in for a specific amount of Game Day Squad fantasy points. There is a catch though. Once you pick a particular player, you are unable to pick them again for the rest of the season. If a player gets the amount that you guessed or over, you then lock in those points for the week and they're tallied to your score. But if the player is unable to reach the amount that you locked them in for, you will finish on 0. They're the rules of the game. We had a special guest on for our first time for Lock of the Week, which is really exciting. And if you didn't check it out, we'll be doing another one this Thursday. We have a live stream on our socials, which are all down below. You'll get a notification for that. Hop on. It's pretty fun. We sold 4 separate players for $1, if I'm not mistaken. So it's also a chance to get yourself a bargain. So download the app. Make sure that you're ready to go for that live stream because I've given word that will be happening again. And representing the community in week 1 was Hef, as we mentioned before. And Hef did the most Hef thing possible. He picked his boy Andy Brayshaw, which we were pumped about at the time. He locked him in for 125 Game Day Squad fantasy points. And if you're fortunate to be an Andy Brayshaw owner like myself, you would know that he comfortably got that this week. So yeah, the community's on top. Winning after round 1. For us...
Go on, Hef.
Hef, of course. Cracker pick. But coming first for us, locking in 105 Game Day Squad fantasy points with his Sam Doherty pick last week was Callum. So he's currently second in the standings. Callum, talk about how are you feeling now?
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. As you know, you gave me a bit of stick, said I was too conservative, yada, 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 and here you are both with big fat donuts to start the season. So, no, I couldn't be happier.
There was some scrutiny with the pick, I can't lie, but I also sit there and think you could have had 130. But you know what? You have 105 to my 0, so what can I say?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I tried to be a bit cheeky. Picked old Paddy Cripps, Thursday Night Lights. I thought it was the time, the place. He was going to step up to the occasion. Did not. Did not step up to the occasion at all. Did not have a good week at all, actually. Fortunately, we don't have a hot seat this week because I would have thrown him straight on there. But yeah, got 0 points for the week. I had him at 125. Wasn't even close. Kerm, why don't you get into your pick? Because unfortunately, it ended up in a donut as well. What happened?
Yeah, dude, my woes continue in the Lock of the Round segment here. I had Noah Anderson locked in for 118 points. Like your Paddy Cripps, he got absolutely nowhere near it. He only scored 89 GDS fantasy points. So back to the drawing board. We'll try and get into the winners column next week.
Speaking of the drawing board, let's do reverse order. Kerm, seeing as you're the last one to address then, I want your first pick. Who are you going with this week? How many points? You know how important this is for both of us. So take it away.
Yeah. Oh, I'm nervous. Last week I went with my heart. I went with the Suns. This time I'm going against them. I'm back to pessimistic Suns terms. Like I'm so off them. I am so off them already.
That's what we want. I don't like this optimistic Suns stuff.
I'm off them. They're the worst thing in the world. Don't want to think about them. So I'm going to go after them this week. We play Essendon. I'm going to go Darcy Parish to score 112 GDS fantasy points.
I like it.
It's good. I was expecting a little bit higher after the grief I copped last week. But
hey, 105 for Doherty. You can hold your head up high after the green light, but
there's got to be no scrutiny. No scrutiny.
Tom, what are you picking?
From Callum after 105 from Doherty. But yeah, good question. What am I picking this week? I've looked forward. I looked at the performances last week, and I thought who really stood out to me, and that person was Nick Dacos. We've spoken about him a bit on the show, but he had 21 kicks last week, a couple handballs, was an absolute monster around the ground. I'm going to lock him in for 117 Game Day Squad fantasy points, which might seem a bit low for a Nick Dacos play, but seeing as I just come up a score of 0,
we would actually.
I think I need to play it a little bit safe, but not 105 safe, 117 safe. I think there's some levels to this, so... That's my lock of the round. I'm hoping I can get back on the board and get this season flying.
The Dacos card early, I like it.
I've gone to him.
I'm going to go another big name early. And I'm going to lock another big name in for 105 points.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you guys again.
For 90 points.
Andy Brayshaw, 120. I think he played really well on the weekend, but they obviously had a loss, and they're playing at North at home this week. I think he's the spiritual leader of that club. He needs to have a big game. Say Fremantle is back, because if they don't have a good game, alarm bells go off in Freo, and I think he's the guy that leads the ship. So 120, lock him in. He'll get it.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Some huge names in round 2 for the lock of the round. They've been pulled out early. But if you've made it this far in the video, shout out to you. We appreciate you. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to keep seeing the content coming out. We have our Aussie Rule show every Monday, and we've got the live stream every Thursday, which follow our socials. And we will be live again on Thursday before the game, getting excited, talking about our team, who we're starting. We're all going to bounce back in a big way. Thank you so much for checking in. Is there anything you guys want to leave our viewers with today?
Just go get game day ready for round 2.